Welcome back to the Interview Better podcast. Today we're talking about something that sounds dry on paper, signal quality in hiring, and turns out to be one of the more overlooked problems in the American labor market. Give me the next few minutes, because by the end of this episode, I think you'll look at resumes, interviews, and the hiring process in general a little differently. Let's start with the basics. In any system where one side is trying to evaluate another, a signal is just information, the material a decision actually gets made on. In hiring, that's your resume, your interview performance, maybe a work sample, a portfolio, a reference check, if anyone still does those properly. And a signal isn't just good or bad. It's good or bad along a few different dimensions, and this is where it gets interesting. Is it accurate? Does it reflect what you can genuinely do? Is it complete? Or is the important part missing, simply because it didn't occur to you to mention it? Is it consistent? Would two equally capable people produce comparable signals? Or does it come down to who happened to already know the unwritten rules? And is it interpretable? Can the person on the other end actually read it, understand it, and act on it without decoding it first? Here's why that matters so much. When signal quality drops, you get two very expensive mistakes. You get false negatives, strong people filtered out because the resume was formatted wrong, or they froze up in an unstructured interview, or their experience just didn't translate into the right words. And you get false positives, people who look fantastic on paper, who glide through the interview because they've done it 50 times, but who aren't actually the strongest fit once they're in the seat. Both mistakes are costly. One wastes talent. The other creates turnover and friction and bad hires. And across an entire economy, that adds up to something a lot bigger than one company's HR headache. A few reasons, and honestly, none of them are really anyone's individual fault. Start with the resume. It's a document you write about yourself with almost no idea what the person reading it actually values. So you guess. You default to the format everyone else uses. You describe the last 3 years of your life in whatever language feels safe. And the thing that actually made you great, the outage you talked a team through at 2 a.m., the process you quietly redesigned that nobody asked you to touch, never makes it onto the page. It didn't occur to you that it mattered. It mattered enormously. Then there's the interview, and here's an uncomfortable truth. Interview performance is driven less by your actual skill than by how much you've practiced being interviewed. Take two candidates with genuinely identical ability. One has done 20 mock interviews and knows exactly how to structure an answer under pressure. The other is walking in cold, hasn't said their own accomplishments out loud since their last performance review. Same talent, wildly different signal. That's not a skills gap. That's a preparation gap wearing a skills gap's clothes, and most hiring systems can't tell the difference. Add to that the fact that skills get described in 100 different dialects. What you call stakeholder management, someone else calls cross-functional leadership, and a keyword matching system just quietly misses the connection. A perfectly relevant candidate gets filtered out for using the wrong synonym on a Tuesday. And on the other side of the table, the evaluators are human, which means they're inconsistent too. Different reviewers, different standards, a rough morning versus a good one. Even a genuinely strong signal can get lost in how it happens to be read. Put all of that together, and you get a system that produces enormous activity, applications, screenings, interviews, and frustratingly little resolution. A lot of noise, not nearly enough signal. That's the problem. Let's talk about what's actually being done about it, and I want to bring in something close to home here. I don't love a hard sales pitch in the middle of an episode generally, but this one is relevant enough that it'd feel strange not to mention it, because it sits right at the two weakest points we just walked through, the resume and the interview. That gap is exactly what Interview Better was built to close. On the profile side, it's not about polishing a document until it sounds nice. It's about building a genuinely more complete, more accurate picture of what you can actually do, surfacing the parts you'd normally forget to mention, and mapping them into language evaluators actually recognize. Structural, not cosmetic. And on the interview side, Remember that preparation gap wearing a skills gap's clothes I mentioned a minute ago? That's precisely the problem structured practice solves. Role-specific questions, real feedback on your structure and clarity, enough repetitio that by the time you're in the actual room, you're not fighting your nerves and the format at the same time. You're just answering the question. The goal was never to script anyone into sounding like everybody else. It's the opposite, making sure the real signal, the one that shows you're actually good at this, comes through clearly instead of getting lost in the noise. If anything in this episode has sounded a little too familiar, if you've ever felt like your resume undersold you, or walked out of an interview knowing you didn't represent yourself well, it's worth a look. That's interviewbetter.io. Okay, back to the bigger picture. So if resumes, interviews, skill language, and human judgment are all sources of noise, what does fixing this look like at the infrastructure level? Broadly, it comes down to 4 things. First, richer, more consistent profiles. Instead of just scanning a resume for keywords, modern systems look at the actual substance, project outcomes, technical work, learning history, and map it to skill categories that mean something. That surfaces things a tired human reader might skim right past on a Friday afternoon. Second, structured preparation at scale. We just talked about this one. Interview performance is trainable, and giving people realistic practice with real feedback closes the gap between good candidate and candidate who merely looks good in an interview. This might be the single highest leverage fix in the entire chain, because it doesn't require inventing anything new. It just requires access. Third, standardized skill representations. If stakeholder management and cross-functional leadership get recognized as the same underlying capability, matching stops being a guessing game about vocabulary and starts actually reflecting who's qualified. And fourth, feedback loops. Which profile traits actually predicted someone doing well in the role? Which kind of interview prep produced the clearest improvement? Static systems go stale fast. Systems that learn from real outcomes keep getting sharper for the next candidate, and the one after that, and the one after that. None of this is magic, and none of it replaces human judgment. It just clears away the static that keeps getting in judgment's way. Here's the bigger stake. The cost of weak signals isn't just personal, it's structural. When a critical technical role sits open for months because good candidates keep getting filtered out by noisy screening, that's not just frustrating for the hiring manager. That's a delayed product launch. A research breakthrough that takes longer to reach the market. A company falling a little further behind. Multiply that across an entire economy in fields like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, advanced engineering, fields where the US is already stretched thin on skilled people, and this stops being a small thing. And it hits hardest for exactly the people you'd most want included. Career changers, people from non-traditional educational paths, international talent whose credentials don't map cleanly onto familiar categories. Their signals deviate from the expected pattern, not because they're less capable, but because the pattern was never built with them in mind. Fixing signal quality doesn't just make hiring faster. Almost as a side effect, it makes it fairer. Now, I want to be balanced here, because it's easy to get starry-eyed about AI fixes hiring and skip the hard part. Systems like this only work if they're built responsibly. Trained on historical data without oversight, they can amplify old biases just as easily as they remove them. So continuous auditing and human oversight on high-stakes decisions actually matter, not as a footnote, but as a requirement. Privacy matters too. A skills profile and an interview history are sensitive things, and they need to be treated that way. And interpretability matters. If a system just says, "This candidate scores well," without being able to explain why, that's not real progress. That's just a fancier black box with better marketing. Any serious platform in this space has to treat those as core design constraints, not afterthoughts. So let's go back to where we started. That hiring manager, 40 tabs open, 40 minutes on the clock. The best candidate sitting in tab 280 isn't a hypothetical. It's happening right now, probably in more than one company, in more than one city, today, while you're listening to this. The tools to fix that already exist. The real question is just how fast we build and actually use the infrastructure that lets the real signal get through the noise. That's really the whole idea behind this show, and honestly, behind Interview Better as a platform too. Not to give anyone an unfair edge, just to help the signal you're already sending come through clearly. A more complete profile. Real interview practice, not just tips you read once and forget by Tuesday. If today's episode struck a nerve, if you've ever felt like the real you didn't quite make it through the process, go take a look at interviewbetter.io. It's built for exactly that moment, right before the interview, when preparation is the difference between sending a signal and just making noise. Thanks for listening. If you found this useful, send it to someone who's job hunting right now. That's genuinely the fastest way a show like this grows. I'll see you next time.